boring. Oh my, have you ever felt bored like 1,000 times over? Or felt someone was boring or a subject was boring? Well, guess what? I've got a process for you today to undo some of that. And I've also got a great example on what is really, really behind boredom. And every time I hear a client or a great friend of mine or a good friend of mine or a family member mention that they're bored, that always raises a red flag for me. So let me tell you a little bit about boredom. So boredom is basically, it's that feeling, you've all felt it, that feeling that you feel when you feel wearied or you're irritated by the dullness of something, or you just don't have any interest in it. You're just bored with it. But what actually is behind boredom? And you may find this very hard to believe, but hey guys, I have processed people, I have coached people on this area. And when Alan wrote the information on boredom, oh my God, did he forever hit the nail on the head. So when somebody is experiencing boredom or finding something that's boring, what's behind that is really it's areas of past pain or fears or heartbreak or failure or negativity, just a whole bunch of stuff that you did not want, okay? Did not want to experience, did not want to go through. And so that's what's really, really behind boredom and boring, because what we tend to do is pull away from that. Why? Because we don't want to be overwhelmed by that stuff, agony and stuff that's painful and heartbreaks and fears and agony and failure, that kind of stuff. Who wants to be connected to that? I mean, we want to be successful, and we want to continuate our success, and we want to be passionate versus being bored with something. So there's another secret here. I was thinking about Tiger Woods and how, going out and practicing over and over and over the same stroke, with the same tools every time, playing all the tournaments around the world that he did. You could easily get bored of that, right? But basically, the way to keep from being bored with doing something over and over again, because we all have things that we do over and over again, is to realize that it is a new unit of time. One day I was telling Alan that affirmations, he had a couple of affirmations that he used. And I love the affirmation that he used, which was, every day in every way, I will get better and better. Or I'm getting better and better. And so I tried that, and I went to him one day and I said, that doesn't work for me. It's not working. I don't really know. Affirmations have never worked for me. And he said, it's because basically you're kind of in a trance when you say it. You're not saying it like it's a new unit of time. Today's a new day. Today is Wednesday. It's not yesterday when I said it. It's today. It's a new unit of time, a new mood, a different situation. It's a whole brand new day. So can you imagine someone that's practicing and really, really perfecting their game and their skills, how many times you have to be able to do the successful action, even if the boredom strikes, okay? So that is a reason why to conquer boredom. If you want to take something to mastery, really, really up your game, you have to be able to handle boredom. So the first thing, here's the process that you want to do, is you want to check and make sure you don't have any destructive ideas, any negative ideas, or any preconceived ideas or precepts, which is, the key to unlocking your belief system, if you will, that is connected to boredom. Okay, that's the first thing. So the second thing is, most of the time you will find that there is a negative experience or a painful incident behind boredom. I remember one time I was working with a client, this is several years ago, and I had stopped to get some advice from Alan on how to handle what was coming up with this client session. I was a brand new coach, brand new processor, didn't have a lot of knowledge. I studied, but now I was getting the life experience, if you will. So I called Alan and said, yeah, this boredom is coming up in this coaching session. How do I handle this? And he said, oh my gosh, that's so good. This is a red flag. And I knew that. He said, so find out, what areas he found was boredom, if you will. He said, there's probably a painful incident there. And sure enough, for this person, it went all the way back to school. There was a very, very painful negative experience there. Cleaned it up. There's tears, of course, and then this person's attention, their life force particles were stuck in this incident. But once we processed through it, came out smiling, happy, no more boredom. That was what was the boredom was a masking device over that painful incident that happened. So if you kind of look at something that is boring, or when the boredom turns on, just take a look and see, when did the boredom turn on? See what you were doing, see where it was and what happened, and see if you can spot if it's, if there's some fear and anguish and pain connected to it, okay? A lot of times when you look at an area in your life and you want to see, okay, so what areas do you find boring? Well, you guys have heard me say this many times, math is very boring to me. Why? Well, because I have failed in that area more than I've won. There's a lot of confusion in that area for me. And it's very, very discouraging when I try to understand in the math area and I'm not able to get it. So red flag, boring. Do I find it boring? Yes. What is it? Well, there's some painful incidents connected to school there for me. So I'm better at it, but there's still some more to take a look at. So if a negative experience comes up or a painful one comes up, just take a look at when it was, where it was, and what happened. Write it out and you'll feel better. The last thing is, we all have people in life that I'm sure that we have found to be very boring. So here's the thing. If you have a person in your life that you find very boring, find out what the person is doing repeatedly that you don't like. Gosh, it reminds me of many years ago of being around certain topics that certain people would talk to. Every time I got around them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. It's just all they ever talk about. So find that person, find out what it is that you don't like, and then look at the times when you've done something similar. Because I can guarantee you, I have definitely talked about things that people were not interested in and said it over and over again. So that's the way you handle that. And then what will happen is you will have a lot more affinity and a lot more empathy and a lot more tolerance for that person. And I know for me, I have a lot more tolerance for people that talked about a specific person, a specific thing like ailments 24/7. Now that I understand their ailments, just what's ailing them, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And so, but now I have a lot of empathy for it because I also realize what's behind that. And I also realize that, at that point in time, that's their biggest gain. So I understand it. And I have a lot of empathy, a lot of tolerance, and just do my best to love and duplicate them. So that is really what's behind boredom. See you next week.